Okay, so anytime you want to edit a button, actually, where is my, in there somewhere, there it is. There's where we kind of left off. You'll see we have breadcrumbs here, so if I want to edit that button, then I just double click it, and it opens up in this window. But I want to go back to the scene, because now we're going to start placing some scripts. Now, as we're scrubbing through this timeline, we got to find out where stops are so we can place some buttons, because it's got to stop and wait for a mouse click. So right here is where we got to put a stop, because then the movie continues after that. Okay, so we got to create a new layer, and I'm going to put it at the top and call this actions. And this is industry standard practice. Call it actions, put it at the top, and I'm going to find that frame where that stop needs to go. Otherwise, it's just going to keep playing through. Okay, so I'm going to create a keyframe. I'm going to insert a keyframe here, right there, and then I'm going to pull up my actions, and I'm just right-clicking to open that window, and I'm going to put in a stop. Okay, and that's what a stop looks like that, exactly like that. You can't just put anything in there. It's got to be exactly that. Okay, I also have this script right here. Edit, paste, and I'm going to leave this in here for you. You'll see that there's a stop in there. And what I'm going to do is, this button needs a script, and I'll talk about this here in a minute, but I'm just going to put it in there for now, and then put in the other stops, and then we'll come back to this. Okay, I'm going to leave this script in here, but this is the script that makes the button work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save. But I'm going to put in my stops first. Okay, so each stop is going to have a button that does something. So when it stops, then you got to click to make it go to the next frame or the next section. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to have to change a lot of this to make it work right. So then the next part on your movie stops right here. So I'm going to insert a keyframe. Okay, so we got to have a keyframe where we want things to stop or end, or we want actions to go in. So here's my actions again, and I'm just going to paste that script in there. Notice it has a stop, so it stops, and then it's going to listen for a mouse click, which is when we click, then it's going to do something. Alright, so that's good. Then we'll go to the next portion right here, which is right here, and insert a keyframe. Now remember, every time we want something to happen, we got to have a keyframe. Now this is not going to work until we do some editing on it, so don't freak out if you try to test your movie and it doesn't do anything. It might give you some error messages because there's some issues with, we have this playing several times, and it's going to freak out because it's playing that same script over and over again, and it doesn't like that. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so here's your next stop. Okay, and then it goes on to the end. Okay, so I'm going to right click and put a, where's my actions? Okay, I'm going to put a keyframe there. Okay, and then paste my script in there. Okay, and then you need a stop at the very end, because if you don't, it's just going to keep, it's going to loop back to the beginning. In Flash or in Animate, it automatically loops, so I'm just going to paste this. And this one is going to be our replay button, so it goes back to frame 1. So it's going to stop at the end and then go back. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Okay, so you should have scripts in those areas. Okay, wherever your movie stops. Okay, you should have scripts in those. Okay, now I need to pull my actions layer up to the top. It's just best to have it at the top. Okay, so your movie stops there. Stops there, stops there, waits for a mouse click. Say all these are stops, they wait for a mouse click on a button. Well, we don't have buttons out there yet. I'm going to do that next. Now, this right here, this replay button is not going to work. So we're going to use my replay button. So I'm going to turn that off. Actually, I'm just going to delete that layer because we can't really use that. And you'll notice some of my text isn't showing up right because I don't have some of the fonts you have. So, okay. All right. So that is how to place the scripts. Okay, scripts have to go into the frames where your movie is stopping, waiting for a mouse click on a button. We do not have buttons in yet. We're going to do that next.